Welcome. Namaste.
નિશાબેન સાહેબ આવી ગયા.
Yeah.
વેલકમ સર. રૂપાલા સાહેબ.
રામ રામ.
રામ રામ. નિશાબેન શરૂ કરો.
On behalf of NCCSD, we welcome you everyone in this interaction meet. In the India, we have a custom. We start each and every event and we start any occasions with the small prayer. So this is the prayer of Lord Shah to join with me in the Ganesh Vandana. We call this prayer we call Ganesh Vandana. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya
Nirvignam Kuru me Deva
Opportunity, and it's excellent occasions because it's an international event, and we are very lucky because we have our honorable minister with us. So, sir, on behalf of all of the two joint hands, and today we are really feel very happy and lucky because today you are with us, and I'm happy to share that today we have 7 countries participants, please mute your mic so we can able to hear each and every person voice. Thank you so much. Sir, I'm happy to share with you that today we have more than 7 countries, and I think I make a list out of the each and every speakers of the countries for our formal facilitations. But apart from these participants, we have a participation from the Global Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Alliance from the Zambia. We have all the vice chancellors of the state universities. We have Mukul Asher sir from the Singapore, Dr. Gopinath, Hyderabad, Dr. Pathak sir, former vice chancellor from Gujarat. We have Simon and Dado from the Gaksa, Rome. We have today MD Shah Kamal Khan from the Dhaka. He is an expert in the services. Dr. Gontia sir from the Vice Chancellor University Junagadh. Dr. Richard. Yesterday he told he is not able to share their experience, but on behalf of him, he nominated one scientist also. So we have participations from Ghana. Today, Dr. Nandini Ben from the Atapi Seva Foundations based at the Jambu, sir. Today we have a Dr. Loisy. Loisy, she is a farmer, and today she is joining from the Ohio, USA. Today we have a Tobias from the Pharma Constituency from UK, Professor Govind Hariharan from USA, and Director Manesh are also with us, Elise Dika from the Zambia, and Mr. Divine. We have lots of participants. If I say each and every name, then I think it's required 9 minutes. But on behalf of NCCS, I welcome to you all participants of the country, the outside country, not all participants, but the speakers and the students and the experts who are with us today. So on behalf of NCCS, I welcome noon, but of course your country, it's late noon, late evening, early morning, and late night also. But you, your special time, you participate in this conference. We really happy our state and country. We really grateful to you. Introduction meet is. My voice is not clear because lots of people's mics are on. So request again all the participants, please. We have only few hours, and if we think about to meet this country people at the one place, it is not possible. Think if 7 country people come together at Delhi and we come sit together and we discuss these topics, it's require lots of time and energy. But the COVID teach us this whole technology. So now today we all are from all around the country. We come together, and hopefully we meet each and every people in the few hours, in the few minutes. So on behalf of NCCSD, again, I welcome to you all the 3940 participants, experts, speakers, and the students who are with us. Today's subject is a very broad, and I already shared that this is not only the views and experts and address of only the speakers, but we have a participants also. So all are able to share their experience, share their expertise in this interaction meet. Our whole this objective of this interaction meet is like NCCSV's main objective is the capacity building and policy advocacy. Capacity building એટલે શક્તિ વિકાસ તાલીમ આપીને એમને તૈયાર કરવા and policy advocacy પ્રકારના કેવા પ્રકારના બદલાવની જરૂર છે. Our whole આપણો મુખ્ય ઉદ્દેશ, our whole objective is how our farmer, આપણો ખેડૂત કેવી રીતે પોતે તાલીમ લઈને તૈયાર થાય, how our farmer become a climate smart farmer. So this is the whole interactions meet to discuss the strategy to meet new challenges of the sustainable livelihood and changing the climate scenario, and what are the additional measures are needed so that the farmer continue have their sustainable livelihoods. Also in the November, we all know, because who are with us today all are participating in the COP27 meeting. So participants, we as an audience are the same in the COP also, in this interaction meet also. So how we synergize our expertise, our objectives, our mission, and we as a strength, as a country strength, as a country expertise, how we present our initiative with the UNFCCC. This is the main objective of this today interaction meet. Each and every country facing a different challenges, but the one country who are facing one challenges, maybe the other country have that expertise how to overcome it. So how as a country and country south-south partnerships we come together and we interact with each other, and how we can overcome. So this is the main objective of the today's interactions meet. I am not taking much time because our honorable minister, as I mentioned earlier, today we are very lucky. આપણે બહુ નસીબદાર છે કે આજે આપણી સાથે આ ઇન્ટરેક્શન મીટમાં રૂપાલા સાહેબ છે. એમની વ્યસ્તતાના સમયમાં પણ એમને આપણને જે સમય ફાળવી અને આપણે માર્ગદર્શન આપવા માટેનું જે સહમતિ આપી, જે આપણા માટે ખૂબ જ અમૂલ્ય અને અગત્યની વાત છે. So I request now our honorable minister Shri Purushottam Rupala sir for his address. So
नमस्ते.
नमस्ते सर.
नमस्ते.
ये जो आज के क्लाइमेट चेंज और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग जैसे गंभीर विषय को लेकर, और खास करके COP27 में जो होने वाला है समिट, उसी में उनको सजेशन देने हेतु एक इंटरिम बैठक आज NCCSD की ओर से ऑर्गेनाइज की गई है. इसमें जुड़े हुए हमारे देश के और विदेश से टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जुड़े सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों को मेरा नमस्कार, राम राम. मैं अपने किरीट भाई शैलत जी का तहे दिल से शुक्रगुजार हूं कि ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण आयोजन का मुझे भी साक्षी बनने का मौका दिया. हमारी बहन जो विगत बता रही कि क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से बारिश की अनियमितता हो रही है, ज्यादा हो रही है, कम हो रही है, कई गर्मी ठंडी सभी मौसम में अफरा तफरी का एक माहौल देखने को आता है और इनके कई आयाम हैं। मगर हम अभी अपने को कृषि के ऊपर केंद्रित करके हमारे किसानों के साथ और कृषि के साथ इस समस्या से जो बदलाव का भुक्तभोगी कृषि क्षेत्र हो रहा है उसी पर हमें कुछ सजेशन देने चाहिए और कुछ बातें सोचनी चाहिए। तो ये कार्बन क्रेडिट का मुझे तो याद नहीं, कोई पहली बैठक का शैलत साहब को याद होगा। एक पहली बैठक जब यहाँ दिल्ली में कहीं पे हुई थी ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट के माननीय साहब की उपस्थिति में, उसी पहली मीटिंग में एक विषय निकला था कि एक प्रकार से जब कार्बन क्रेडिट की जो ग्रांट सो ये ग्रांट खेडूतोने पण મળવી જોઈએ, किसानों को मिलनी चाहिए।
એટલે ભાઈ કોઈ અવાજ કરતો હોય બંધ થાવ, સાહેબ નો સાંભળી
क्योंकि
શકાય।
वो बिना कार्बन को प्रोड्यूस किए पॉल्यूशन बनाए पैदा करने के बजाय ग्रीनरी को ग्रोथ करके हमारे वायुमंडल को स्वच्छ करने का एक बहुत बड़ा अनायास प्रयास किसानों के द्वारा हो रहा, मगर इनको कोई कार्बन क्रेडिट का बेनिफिट नहीं मिल रहा। सो हमारा जो सजेशन की कोई किस जो सारी चीजें यहाँ आप लोग तय करेंगे, डेलिब्रेट करेंगे, ये सारे एक्सपर्ट्स अपने अपने ओपिनियन रखेंगे। इसमें एक मेरा भी ये छोटा सा सुझाव है कि इस पर डिस्कस हो और हो सके तो जो यूएन का यूएनएफसीसी का वहाँ मीटिंग जब COP27 में होगी तो उस समय वहां बताना चाहिए कि उन लोगों को, एक किसानों को अपने एग्रीकल्चर करने के लिए वो जो कर रहे हैं और उनसे जो ग्रीनरी हो रही है उसी पर उनको कार्बन क्रेडिट की सहायता मिलनी चाहिए। और ये इंडिविजुअल किसान नहीं कर सकते हैं तो पूरे देश की, पूरे राज्य की अब तो आकाशी छवियां मिल सकती हैं और उसी के सैटेलाइट के माध्यम से सारा असेसमेंट हो सकता है। उसी को माप तोल करके राष्ट्रों को इनकी राशि भेजनी चाहिए और उससे फिर राष्ट्र पर ये लगाना चाहिए, उसको सूचना देनी चाहिए कि वो फिर वो किसानों तक पहुंचाने का प्लानिंग करे। वो एक प्रकार से अच्छा एक मुझे लग रहा है कि किसानों को मदद करने का बेनिफिट होगा। और जो पशुपालक लोग हैं उनके लिए भी जो टेक्नोलॉजी का आधार लेकर कार्बन के ओमिनेशन करने में क्या क्या हम इनको टेक्नोलॉजिकल सहायता दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ दो प्रकार के पशुपालन है। एक तो डेयरी फार्मर्स हैं जो संगठित भी हैं, जो थोड़े बहुत शिक्षित भी हैं, थोड़े बहुत सुरक्षित भी हैं और उनको डेयरी की ओर से सहायता भी मिल रही है। सो एक दूसरे जो हमारे पशुपालक हैं वो घुमंतु पशुपालक हैं जो अपने पशुओं को लेकर वनों में, पहाड़ों में, चरागाहों में वो घूमते रहते हैं। ये दोनों को कैसे एड्रेस किया जाए उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा डेलिब्रेशन होने की आवश्यकता है, करने की भी आवश्यकता है। आजकल एक विषय को क्या हम छेड़ सकते हैं या नहीं उसी के बारे में भी सोचने की जरूरत है। ये पशुओं के गोबर से और यूरिन से ये जो अपना IPCC का जो रिपोर्ट है उन्होंने भी ये ही बताया है कि पशुधन क्षेत्र से उत्सर्जन की बड़ी मात्रा जीएचजी गैस की हो रही है। तो उन्हीं के बारे में विश्व के सारे पशुओं में एक गाय ऐसा है, हमारा इंडिजिनस काउस जो है गाय, उनका गोबर और उनका जो गोमूत्र है, जिनको हम परंपरा से पवित्र मानते हैं और अपने घर में पवित्रता के लिए इनका चौका लगाते हैं, और गोमूत्र का तो कई पुरानी हमारी प्रैक्टिसेस में, पंचगव्य में इनका स्थान है। सो एक अलग से उनके गोमूत्र और गोबर के बारे में भी साइंटिफिक हमें एस्टैब्लिश करना चाहिए कि इनको इनके साथ नहीं गिनना चाहिए, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। उस विषय को भी हमें ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म में डिस्कशन में लाने का प्रयास करना चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ है इसमें विशेषता जिसके जरिए इनके गोमूत्र को और गोबर को पवित्र माना जाता है। और आजकल कई ऐसे प्रयोग चल रहे हैं जिसके जरिए ये जमीन की फर्टिलिटी को फिर से पुनः स्थापित करने में ये गाय का गोबर अहम भूमिका प्रस्थापित कर रहा है। सो कई इस पर एक्सपेरिमेंट भी चल रहे हैं। उनके एक्सपर्टों से ऐसी राय लेकर इनको इन सारे में से अलग करके देखने का कोई प्रयास होना चाहिए, ऐसा मैं मानता हूं। क्योंकि ये गाय का जो गोबर और गोमूत्र है, वो मैं मानता हूं कि ये मेरी निजी मान्यता है कि ये वो गैस के उत्सर्जन से पर्यावरण को अपवित्र करने के बजाय पवित्र करने का काम अपने आप में होता होगा, ये मेरा मानना है। उसी का जिक्र भी हमारे इस प्रकार के डेलिब्रेशन में आए कहीं से, इसको हमारे उसमें लेने की मैं एक छोटी सी सिफारिश कर रहा हूं। सो इस प्रकार से किसानों को और पशुपालकों के इन विषयों को साथ में जोड़ते हुए आप सब जब भी इतने एक्सपर्ट लोग हमारे देश के भी मैंने नाम पढ़े हैं, हमारे फॉर्मर यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर लोग हैं, वर्तमान वाइस चांसलर लोग हैं, और इस क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले बहुत ही अच्छे एनजीओ के हेड्स इसमें के साथ जुड़े हैं, और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर से भी ख्यातनाम लोगों का आज के वेबिनार में उपस्थित होने से ये बहुत ही एक रिच डिस्कशन होने की संभावना है। तो इसके लिए बहन जो हमारी शुरुआत में वेलकम कर रही थी, उन्होंने जो बताया कि ये एक किसी समस्या से किसी राष्ट्र ने एक्सपर्टीज हासिल कर ली है, तो वो भी अपने आप में इंटरनल हम एक्सचेंज करके एक दूसरे को विश्व बंधुत्व की हमारी जो कल्पना है उसी में हम एक दूसरों को शेयर करके मदद करने का भी कुछ आयोजन हम कर सकते हैं। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी, जिन्होंने पिछले अधिवेशन में बताया था कि हम 2070 तक नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करने का कार्य करेंगे, उसी दिशा में हम अपने देश में कामकाज करेंगे। इसके चलते पूरी दुनिया में एक प्रकार से उम्मीद का माहौल बनाने में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लीड लिया है। और ऐसे संजोगों में ये आप आज का जो वर्तमान बैठक हो रहा है और ये डेलिब्रेशन हो रहा है, मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत ही फ्रूटफुल रहेगा। सो अंत में आई कांग्रेचुलेट NCCSD to set up this interaction meet. I am sure deliberation will come out with specific agenda and suggestions, action points for international organization like World Bank, UNDP, national government, civil society members, farmers organization, and industrial organization related agriculture. It can also highlight food, water and energy nexus and ways to strengthen that. So thank you all. और मैं इस बैठक को, इस अपनी मीट को बहुत ही सक्सेस की शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और सभी को मनोगत से, मनोभाव से इसमें जुड़ के अपना डेलिब्रेशन देने का आह्वान भी करता हूं। और शैलत साहब से मेरा नम्र अनुरोध रहेगा कि इनमें से जो भी डेलिब्रेशन हो उनसे मुझे अवगत कराने का आप कष्ट करेंगे तो मैं आपका आभारी रहूंगा। पुनश्च आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार, राम राम और धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your excellent guidance. To your guide.
Coffee banana.
All the participants, experts, please your mic. Deepak bhai, बताना mic mute कर देजो please. Today our honorable minister sir guide us very right directions. Actually, he shared 3-4 points is very much important points, and that's why I would like to share these points in front of he suggested, because we talk about the carbon market, but how the farmers they get the carbon credit. We have a facilities of the carbon credit for the industries, for the business house, but how our farmers and animal holders, how they get the carbon credit. And he pointed out very much important things. Nowadays we have a GIS and remote sensing, we have a lots of applications, we have lots of technology, so we do not want to move to one farm to another farm, one field to another field to find out about this whole initiatives. We have a GIS and remote, so we capture the image, and based on that our nations can certify that data, and of course we get the carbon credit, because as the NCCSD participated since last 10 years in the COP meeting, and our main thrust is how to खेती ने તમે કરી શકો છો. આપણે બેટરી સંચાલિત, સૌર ઉર્જા, એનર્જી સેક્ટર્સ, વેસ્ટ મેનેજમેન્ટ, પણ જ્યાં આગળ આપણા 70% વસ્તી, 70% peoples are depend on the agriculture and they are growing in their field, so vegetations are there. So always Dr. Shalat sir has mentioned, our honorable ministers, how carbon absorbed by fruit, how carbon absorbed by leaves, how by stem. So we have to identify that, and for that and the national level, we have to think about that how our farmers and animal holders get the carbon credit. The second most important point, and it's very important for all the world, because as our minister sir says, carbon emissions from the animal waste, from the cow dung, but he pointed out very important things. Cow dung is really polluted the environment? No. We as an Indian always use that cow dung in some auspicious and some religious activities. So as an Indian, we have a feeling like that, no, cow dung and cow urine is a very pure and very important for us, because we are using it for the as our religious things. So our honorable minister says, let's think, of course this is a global scenario and global discussions. We need to require to discuss it, but in the India we have a two type of animal holders. The animal farmers who have a dairy farmers, and the one community are the shepherd community who move here and there around with their animals. So these two type of activities are going on in our country of India, but of course we have that as a technically, as a technology, because we all are think about, and of course it's true also. From the cow dung, from the animal waste, we have a methane emissions. Let's think about that, and let's discuss and then come out the concrete point that our honorable minister mentioned, and it is true. We have to do that. We have to discuss it at the one platform, and then we have to come with the concrete point. The third thing, our honorable minister mentioned that our Prime Minister of India, he took a leadership and he announced to net zero target achieved by 2070. And of course, we as an Indian, we always think about how the challenge we convert in the opportunities. And we have that strength. And of course, we can do that. So our Honorable Minister today, he gave us a very important guidance. And of course, the whatever he mentioned, it's a very fruitful. And of course, we have to think about that. And we, as a country and with your partnership, we have discussed this point in the COP meeting also. સાહેબ હું આપનો ખાસ આભાર માનું છું. આપે જે 3 કે 4 મુદ્દા જણાવ્યા એ ચારે ચાર મુદ્દા ખરેખર બહુ ઉપયોગી છે અને અમે સારી રીતે એને ડોક્યુમેન્ટ કરી અને એને પણ કેવી રીતે ચર્ચામાં લાવીને એનું પણ આપણે बहुत किस तरीके से उसका भी हम एक सुझाव पे आ सके उसकी हम प्रयत्न करेंगे. So again, sir, on behalf of all the participants, experts, students, and all the dignitaries, and on behalf of NCCST, sir, we really thankful to you. Sir, we always get your support. हमें आपका सहकार मिला है जिसके हम आपके आभारी हैं. And we need your guidance in the future also in this sector, especially in animal husbandry, in fisheries, and in the agriculture, because you have a lots of expertise and experience, and based on that we can move ahead as an NCCSD organizations. So thank you so much, sir, on behalf of NCCSD for this inauguration address, and just guide us in the very right directions.
Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. So we move ahead in our interaction meet, and now I request our expert, our professor, Dr. Mukul Asher, for his address. Professor Mukul Asher, he is a former professor of the Singapore National University. Not only he is a professor, but he always guides us. Any guidance we from the Professor Mukul Asher, and he guides us in the right direction. Typically, we get lots of support from the Professor Mukul Asher. So now his address. So. I request Professor Mukul Asher, sir, for his address.
Mic mute, sir.
આપનું માઇક મ્યુટ છે.
હવે સંભળાય છે? I want to share the screen.
મુકુલભાઈ નમસ્તે. Yeah, can we share from our side,
do it
sir?
On my side, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure, sir. Yeah, no, please, sir. Yeah. Okay, yes, it's visible. Yeah,
okay.
It's visible, sir.
I very much appreciate NCCSD for this meeting. It's always a pleasure. I learn a lot. Today, my remarks are going to be on one small aspect, which is the aspect of carbon of food trade. In Asia. And may I make one comment on Minister Purushottambai Rupala's excellent address. He talked about carbon credit market. My suggestion is that while there are international carbon credit markets, is its own carbon credit market. How to organize it, how to do it, this should be, in my view, one of the seminar topics of NCCSD, or a task force can be set up to try to see how we can use national carbon credit market to the fullest. Thank you. Let me start. Pranam, namaskar. Now, precautionary principle compels the world community to take meaningful measures to mitigate climate change. Findings of the 2021 climate report of the IPCC in the next slide are consistent with what External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has observed. Sustainable development requires a sustainable lifestyle. We see so-called activist environmentalists going to protest against something about environment in an SUV. Now, how consistent it is? How can you look yourself in the mirror? You are protesting against environment, going in SUV, going in car, which is a much more polluting instrument of transport. This involves all of us. It is small and done persistently that are more practical to impact environment. And I will give one or two examples of that later. Now, in the environment field and in science in general, it is important that science is used correctly. So we have a scientific method here where you test against it, find whether it is consistent, keep on doing it, if not, you change. Compared science worshippers' method and ultimate concerns about climate change are getting eroded, but we should guard against it. The 5 big findings from the IPCC's 2021 climate report, they are saying we must redefine the way in which we use and produce energy, make and consume goods and services, and manage our land, limiting the dangerous effects of climate change required the world to reach net zero emissions and make major cuts. Carbon will compensate for harder to abate notes that the climate system will not immediately respond to carbon removal. Some impacts, such as sea level rise, will not be reversible for at least several centuries, even after emissions fall. What are the avenues for transformative adaptation in agriculture, climate change? Relocation, fundamental shifts, new technology is what scientists are suggesting. To this, I would add consumption pattern and lifestyle changes. These are very, very critical that we realign our lifestyle and consumption pattern with our concern for the environment. This is the example from Rebecca Carter on what she says about the 3 areas of how to bring about transformative adaptation in world agriculture. Now I would like to spend few minutes I have on some observations on the net balance of food and fuel in selected Asian countries. One of the aspects concerning agriculture is net impact, not gross, net impact of food and fuel combined in international trade in selected Asian countries. So I'm not talking about the domestic side. It is also relevant, but only on the study by Trinomics. Trin is a Vietnamese economist, and she works for IPCC. She's based in Hong Kong. And they have done some research. So I'm simply reporting and making some of my observations, reproducing some of their observations. So here is what we find 2018 to 20, food net export as a share of GDP. And we have cereal, live animals, food oil, others, then all food, and then food plus fuel. Now notice what happens in Thailand, for example. We have very large surplus in terms of all food. Because Thailand is a major agriculture exporting country. But because Thailand agriculture is very fuel intensive, energy intensive, it has a negative net impact. And similarly, in the case of Vietnam, India as well, China, Indonesia has positive, but South Korea has huge, -6. And so does Malaysia. Malaysia is about neutral in spite of being a large palm oil exporter. And the Philippines is very large as well, 5% of GDP. South Korea, 6% of GDP. India's implication is that while we are a net exporter of food, we rank 9th, by the way, in 2021 in agricultural exports globally, and our ranking is set with a lot of very good measures. And because we are an energy-dependent country, we now need to pay attention to this to see how we can reduce it. That's the main implication of this particular graph. Indonesia and China are net food neutral, but we know Indonesia is a huge net exporter of vegetable oil. And I mentioned about agriculture being energy intensive, and this is where one of Prime Minister Modi's initiative comes in, but we need to be very careful about it, do it only in a moderate way. Okay. Now these are my observations. Earlier I was reproducing. South Korea has even larger food plus fuel deficit than the Philippines. India is roughly 2.5%. It should be by making agriculture less fuel intensive. Finally, 3 helpful but small steps that India is taking. First, I2U2 group, which is India, Israel, United States, and UAE. Now, this shows the changing geopolitical developments that will be meaningful as we look at the climate change. They held their first online summit meeting on July 14, 2022. And they want to advance a hybrid renewable energy project they are going to set up a hybrid renewable energy project in India's Gujarat state consisting of 300 megawatts wind and solar capacity, complemented by a battery energy storage system. And notice the global part of Atmanirbhar has to rely on to build partners in a very constructive and strategic way. So US Trade Development Agency, they funded a feasibility study. Indian companies are keen to participate to achieve the goal, as was mentioned earlier, of 500 GW of non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030. As part of the summit decisions, UAE will fund $2 billion worth of agricultural parks project with in India, with Israel to provide tech support and US private sector involved. So this park could be used, and the Minister Rupala's carbon credit idea to be implemented on a national level, the parks could be one part element of that national carbon credit project. That's first. And a lot of geopolitical changes that are happening. India is well placed through very strategic, almost visionary diplomacy to address the climate change as well. The second is natural farming practices that Prime Minister Modi has done. Now, this has to be approached moderately. It has to be very, very well planned. It cannot just happen. We are seeing next door a massive, massive disaster by Sri Lanka because they didn't plan natural farming properly. They went in a very, very hurried manner without any plans. We are not doing that, and we are going slowly, but that can help, and we should try to encourage it and also brand it, our products, in that way to get higher value per unit. Then there are other like micro irrigation, as I said, many small scale local context developments will make a difference over time. So this is the micro irrigation and how the 10 district of Karnataka, the earthworms population has increased and it has improved the soil. Okay. Now, let me make one final comment, if I may. I think the carbon credits and the gobar gas, Gaumutra, that the minister had mentioned, California has developed one of the largest gobar gas plants, and they are using Gaumutra also in a strategic manner. So one of the things, yes, is that in the I2U2 partnership, that India consider getting technology transfer, understanding, getting the expertise from California in what Minister has suggested. Thank you again for inviting me, and I appreciate it. Namaskar.
Mukul bhai, thank you so much for your excellence. We always from your presentation and at the international level also. So on behalf of NCCSP, sir, we really thankful to you for your time, and you always support us. So thank you so much, Mukul bhai. Now I request Dr. K.A. Gopinath, Principal Scientist, CRIDA, Hyderabad, for his address. Dr. K.A. Gopinath.
Thank you, Madam Nishaji, and all the participants. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to share some of our experiences. I am working at Central Research Institute for Dryland Agriculture. This is a national research institute under the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And we are the lead institute and also the national nodal point for the flagship network project, as many of you are aware, National Innovations in Climate Resilient Agriculture, abbreviated as NICRA. And this project is being implemented at a large number of research institutes of ICR, state agricultural universities, and almost 151 Krishi Vigyan Kendras. So this is one unique project, which brings all sectors of agriculture, including crops, horticulture, livestock, fisheries, natural resource management, and also the extension scientists on one platform. And under this project, actually, we have three major components. One is, of course, strategic research through network as well as sponsored and competitive grant mode. The most important second component is the technology demonstration component, where we are developing the climate resilient villages in the country. And the third component is the capacity building of various stakeholders. And in the strategic research component, we are undertaking both short-term as well as long-term research programs with a national perspective, involving both adaptation as well as mitigation, covering crops, horticulture, livestock, and other allied sectors. And the main thrust areas in this research component is to be, first of all, we need to identify what are those most vulnerable districts or the regions in the country based on various parameters and other considerations, including the socioeconomic factors of the farming communities. So this is one exercise that we have already completed under this project. We have come out with this atlas on the most vulnerable districts in the country based on several parameters. And the second major thrust area is to develop crop varieties as well as matching management practices for adaptation as well as mitigation of climate change. And the third component under research is assess the climate change impacts on livestock, fisheries, and allied sectors in the coming years. Of course, I think the details of major research outputs may not be relevant here, but moving to the next important component, perhaps the relevant to this meet, is the technology demonstration that we are undertaking for development of climate resilient villages in the country. So under this component, what is being done is the location-specific technologies which are developed by the National Agricultural Research System, which can impart resilience against climate vulnerability. And these technologies are being demonstrated in 151 climatically vulnerable districts, vulnerable to either drought, the cyclones, the floods, heat stress, cold stress, and one representative village in each of these districts across the country. And we are implementing these resilient technologies in about 450 villages across various districts and states. And the interventions mostly include natural resource management technologies, be it in situ moisture conservation, efficient harvesting of rainwater and efficient use, residue incorporation rather than burning of the crop residues, which are a major source of crop nutrients and also for improving the soil health. Artificial groundwater recharge we have demonstrated in various villages, and also the water saving irrigation methods. And then demonstration of drought or temperature tolerant varieties, in some cases flood tolerant varieties, water saving paddy cultivation methods, including direct seeded rice, system of rice intensification, use of community lands for fodder production during droughts or floods, and improved fodder or feed storage methods, which is again very important to meet the fodder demand, particularly during the off season, and improve shelters for reducing heat stress in livestock management, and management of fish ponds or tanks during particularly the water scarcity are also being demonstrated. And another interesting aspect of this entire exercise is that we have tried to develop various institutional mechanisms, such as village level climate risk management committees that have been established in these villages. The custom airing centers, again, they are created for managing infrastructure that is created in these villages, and to improve the timeliness of operations, particularly in rain-fed areas where the window of operations for various agricultural operations is very limited, and also to promote the small farm mechanization for adoption of climate resilient practices. These are some of the village level institutional mechanisms that are actually helping us to develop these climate resilient villages. And the another important component is the capacity building of various stakeholders. And during the last 10 years, the large spectrum has been doctoral and postgraduate who are involved in the climate change research. And now a few points to highlight the future efforts that should be focused on. There is need to develop the climate adaptation plans. For each of the vulnerable districts, there is a need to develop these adaptation plans. And also the risk assessment at district level, maybe at block level. This will enable us for prioritization of resilient practices in these vulnerable districts. This is very important exercise that is to be taken up. And a large germplasm has been collected over the years, screened, and also the genes identified in several crops for different climatic stresses. So these climate resilient varieties with the available research infrastructure, which is already available with us. And the third point is expansion of NICRA model in more risk-prone districts as per the revised risk and vulnerability assessment. The document again is available with us and also shared to various stakeholders. And upscaling of these resilient practices then we also need to develop indigenous simulation models for studying climate change impact, particularly on aquaculture and horticultural crops. The exercise is yet to be completed. And there is also need to establish India Flux network with trained manpower, because this is very much essential to estimate the emissions at landscape level, particularly for major cropping systems. And of course, climate resilient livestock modules need to be developed using indigenous breeds, life cycle analysis for estimating the carbon footprint, as the earlier speaker was highlighting, and also development of digital tools for particularly for pest forewarning models. And lastly, we also need to explore the possibility of collaboration on climate change research with other countries in the areas of mutual interest. These are, I think, some of the points that I wanted to highlight in this meet from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopinath, and thank you so much for your presentation and detailed information and guidance about the Krida Nikra project. Sir, I would like I have one questions I asked later also, but the main as ministers have also mentioned about the measurement of the carbon sequestration. So
Yes.
I think Nikra Krida have some unique project about this carbon sequestration.
Yes.
So other can use that technology.
Carbon sequestration, actually, we have already estimated, particularly for the perennial tree component, like agroforestry systems. We have one of the research partner, the Central Agroforestry Research Institute, situated in Jhansi. So that was the institute. Actually, we had given this assignment, to come up with the extent of carbon sequestration by various agroforestry systems in the country. So that is already documented and also published by the institute. Not only for agroforestry systems, we have in fact also estimated the sequestration potential of various other crops, cropping systems, and also the horticulture component. For example, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research at Bangalore is another partner institute of NICRA. In fact, they have assessed the sequestration potential of the mango orchards for the entire country. That is another exercise that they have completed under this project.
Thank you so much, sir.
I just want to say one word to Dr. Gopinath.
Yes, sir.
What was suggested, and I think Krida would like to consider, is just as there is a formation for carbon credit for non-agriculture activities organization, can you prepare a format which we can submit to UNFCCC for agriculture activities by farmers?
Sure, sir.
Right, for obtaining carbon credit. Just keep this in mind, and later on we'll discuss.
Sure.
Please go ahead, Nisha.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gopinath, for your guidance and address. Now I request Dr. A.R. Pathak, a former Vice Chancellor, Junagadh and Navsari Agriculture University, for his guidance and address. So, Pathak sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ben.
Namaste, Pathak.
Namaste. Sir, all our participants. The very important topic that has been stated today
પાઠક સાહેબ તમારો અવાજ થોડો મોટો કરો.
Under those circumstances, can you now hear?
Sir.
Hello.
Hi.
Awas સંભળાય બેન?
Yes, sir.
So under those circumstances, what to be selected, and now the very good discussion, the 2-3 points which we got from the Honorable Minister Mukul Bhai and also the Gopinath. What I would be suggesting that now the temperature is going to be increased, and it is estimated that the about 1.5 to 2 degree temperature is going to happen, and under those circumstances, what will be the situation in the crop, particularly when we see the crop, then the water requirement of the crop will increase, transpiration rate will be also more, and under those circumstances, what our Honorable Prime Minister Harshit Kapani or the more crop per drop of water that should be implemented in a greater way, so that we meet the micro irrigation as far as possible. Though the Gopinath had suggested many things, even the water conservation, and under those circumstances, the water storage will be also required, include rainwater harvesting, and then use of rainwater harvesting for the crop by drip or the micro irrigation. That will be very much required. Now another point that when we in the Nikra project, and then the FIDA has already have the gene pool of the hot tolerance or the genotype, and that should be utilized for the breeding program. And now it is a responsibility of the breeders to develop a variety of a particular crop that is resistant to the high temperature. For example, in our Junagadh, the last variety which we released, that is GA451, 43, that was having a late resistance, heat resistance, because after the flowering, when it is more, then there will be a less killing. In those circumstances, that variety is so it is already established now that the GA453 is a heat variety can tolerate the later heat. So it is a heat tolerant. Such a variety is developed by the breeder in the software and so far as the one good point which always
पाठक साहब आपको आवाज
so far as the carbon dioxide is concerned, and under those circumstances we can have a good paper or research to help us understand that how much area is for crop, maybe mango, maybe a sapota, similarly for different crops, and how much carbon dioxide they are extracting, and under that will give a good result to the crop. Now the important thing regarding our animals, certainly there are some materials, some microbes which reduce the methane from the animal, and that can be utilized some food, some powder, and some concentration which can lead to less carbon. Moreover, whatever because the natural utilization of fish is done and urine, but simultaneously they are not utilizing chemicals. So that time also very important study can use how much carbon dioxide is the fertilizer, how much is the natural farming, and regarding atmosphere of planet. These are some type of water are and hydro right correct correct
पाठक साहब हेलो हाँ I am checking મારો voice બરાબર આવે છે કે નહીં એમ હા so thank you so much for your address sir and your guidance. Now I request to Simon Leiva from GACSA. Simon is the coordinator of the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture, and he as an NCC is member of the GACSA. And today I am happy to share with you all that today not only GACSA but the Global Alliance for Climate and Dr. Ali from the Zambia. They both are with us today. So now I request Simon from the GACSA for his address and guidance. Dr. Simon.
Thank you very much. Nisha, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Just want to say thank you once again for the invite, particularly in this period, like I don't know if you read the news, but in Europe with coming a big heat wave. And it seems like this is the only time in which people realize how difficult is climate change and these extreme weather events, how it would become probably normal in the future. So I think I want to thank you so much for doing this and providing a platform for people to discuss these topics important. So thank you so much. So I prepare a small presentation for you to discuss. To introduce GACSA for those that they are not familiar with GACSA. GACSA is launched by the UN Secretary General in 2014. And the idea was to create a platform in which we could do what you guys are doing today, share knowledge and create actions to accelerate the scaling up of climate smart agriculture, particularly the three pillars of climate smart agriculture, which is the sustainable agriculture and income for farmers, and adaptation and mitigation. So how to build a bridge between the discussions that were already happening in the climate change arena and in the agriculture, how we could actually be working together through these two. And the most important part, it was to bring different actors, not only governments talking to governments or research organizations talking to research organizations. So bring all the lot together. And that's interesting because at the end of the day, you get different perspectives and new partnerships and actually you can help one to another. Sometimes even the regions are very, we could learn from other regions and instead of being working in silos. So in the last 8 years, we have done a lot of work, particularly with UNFCCC, the food system discussions and sharing knowledge, creating partnerships and therefore actions which are important. Last year, because of the Food System Summit with the GACSA members, we hosted and co-hosted more than 130 virtual events for the independent dialogues. As I spoke to, we have the regional alliances, which are very important for GACSA to make sure that the global discussions get to the region and from the region to the national level and back and forth. So what's happening at the national level to fit the region and therefore to the global level, so it doesn't become a blah, blah platform, because sometimes that tends to happen with the top-down approach. Then we have 3 action groups in knowledge, investments, and policies, the enabling environments, which are essential and the working bees for GACSA. Then in the future, for GACSA, we in the last annual forum, we adopted the vision for GACSA for the next 10 years, which is to bring back the farmers-centric approach to ensure that we listen to to ensure that food systems and any transformation start with and by farmers. So I call to action to you if you think that your organization or you two aligns with these thematic areas, please get in touch, and we can ensure that we can organize things together, and you can join the action groups and join the platform. So the thematic areas are aligned, of course, with the three CSA pillars to have a sustainable agriculture, mitigation and adaptation. And most important, it's how we're bringing the voice of our members in the next semester. So we got the World Food Forum, an event that is going to be hosted by FAO, particularly focused on youth. Then the World Committee of Food Security, number 50, that is happening in October, which with GACSA members and member countries, we have prepared our good side events. I think we've got Ernie here from Solutions from the Land from the United States, that he is the organizer of this event, which is bringing that concept, bringing the farmers' voices, and instead of having other actors. So the event will have 5, if we get selected, 5 farmers talking about circular economy and how what the problems they are facing and how we can help each other. And then COP27 with different partners to see how we can actually get the voice there. And this is it's important that NCCSD, it's been with us from the beginning. So I want to thank you, Nisha and Dr. Shalat, for all the support in these years. And if you'd like to get to know more about GACSA, these are the social media links that we have, and in anything you need, you can get in touch with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Simon, for your excellent, very brief and very detailed information about GACSA and its action plan. So, of course, NCCSD is working with GACSA very closely, and we are very keen to work with GACSA and the youth network also of the GACSA. So, when we received the mail from the Divine, Mr. Divine and Ali, we are very happy. And we said, yeah, we needed this because the youth, they are just not take a leadership in the agriculture. But all over the globe, if the youth, they took a leadership, then of course we achieve our goal. We are not thinking about the family farming, and we do not have a campaign of the farmer forum, something like that. If youth, they understand agriculture is a main occupation, of course we are educated, but how we can continue our main tradition activity also. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. And now I request Ms. Imelda Baccardo, co-chair of the GACSA, for the address and the guidance. I think co-chair of the GACSA is with us, right?
Well, she had just a small problem to connect, but I deliver on her behalf, and she sends all the regards and the appreciation for the work that NCCSD is doing. And looks forward to meet you all in COP27 to work together. But thank you so much. And again, Nisha, what you were saying, like ensure that that you have a platform in which you can communicate with other members, that they are doing similar work and complement this. I think it's important to amplify the message.
Sure. So give our regards to co-chair of the GACSA, and of course we are very keen and see you on the COP27. Before that, if get a chance, we of course talk virtually. So thank you so much, GACSA, for presentation and guidance. Now I request Mr. Dr. M.D. Shah Kamal Khan. He is the project director of the Ghana. And we always get the knowledge and information about the meteorology, especially from the Dr. M.D. Shah Kamal Khan. So now I request Dr. M.D. Shah Kamal Khan for his guidance. He's from the Dhaka. So.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's my great pleasure to join such an important global demand program. organized by you and your team. So I would like to show my presentation. I'll try my level best to finish in time. If we take few minutes more, then please apologize in advance. So is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So my topic is importance of agronomic advisories and dissemination to the farmers. And Bangladesh is one of the densely populated and agriculture-based developing country in South Asia. And our meteorological status is more or less same in common in South Asia, so that we have formed common platform like SARC, SASCOP, SAFOM, SAMA. So many organizations and associations have been developed due to the common platforms. And globally, unfortunately, we rank among the most climate vulnerable nations. And as per index in 2019, our country ranks 7th vulnerable country in the world. If I say the hazardous situation throughout the country, you see drought, flash flood, river flood, salinity, intrusion, cyclone. It happens throughout the country from north to south, and east to west, and it covers mostly throughout the country. So it indicates that we are really in the threatened condition in respect of climate change. And if I say some sort of major severity, you see cyclones, storm surge, tidal bores, river floods, flash flood, nor'easters, tornadoes, hailstorms, droughts, heat waves, cold waves, heavy rainfall, river erosion, earthquakes, landslides, lightning and thunderstorms. So all kinds of natural hazards happening in our country. So this is the flood situation in our country. In a few years, it happens in mega floods in our country. This is a few pictures. And every year, more or less, agriculture is affected by the flood. And if I say the extreme weather conditions that hazardous for our agriculture, extreme temperature, especially the low temperatures that hazardous to plant growth and development, and extreme temperature conditions during cold spells that also affect agriculture production, heat, gusty wind affect crops, and dry desiccation and strong winds reduce agriculture production, and it also causes mechanical damage. And you see extreme moisture conditions, namely drought. It is also cause of severe damage in agriculture sector. High soil moisture submergence, that is also hazardous for our agriculture, and uneven distribution of rainfall. In fact, whenever we want rain, it doesn't happen, but whenever we don't want, that happens. So uneven distribution of rainfall is also cause of hamper in our agriculture. And cold wave is another cause of heat wave, hailstorm, cyclone, and those are the major threat for agriculture sector in our country. So management of extreme weather in agriculture through agronomic advisories is very important in respect of our country. And the agrometeorological information system development project that I am leading here, it's a component C of Bangladesh Weather and Climate Services regional project. It is a vital project of Department of Agriculture Extension and the Ministry of Agriculture in our country. And the project is funded by the World Bank and is being implemented throughout the country. And our website is bamis.gov.bd, and we have Bamis mobile application. So Bangladesh Agrometeorological Information System is very popular named as BAMIS has been established under this project, and it's only government-approved and authenticated agrometeorological service provider in our country. And our objective is to strengthen the capacity of the Department of Agriculture Extension to deliver reliable weather, water, and climate information services and improve access to such services by priority sectors and communities. And AMISDP is a very important, smart, and global time-driven project. It's working for ensuring climate-smart agriculture in the country. It is ICT-related and contributing for Digital Bangladesh formation as the mandate of our Honorable Prime Minister. So we are supporting in the form of Digital Bangladesh formation in our country. And this is the BAMIS web portal, bamis.gov.bd. And I should say it is becoming very popular in country and abroad. And last 3 years, our viewers number reached to about 4 million. So it indicates that our website is becoming very popular in the country and abroad. And this is our mobile application. And our mobile architecture is a main source of BAMIS portal. And then it comes to the advisory services, and then SMS gateway mobile application, and the real message comes to the farmer, and accordingly farmers take action. And why the agromet advisory is essential for the farmers? It's very important to know. The profit of the farmers through crop production depends on mainly 3 points, that is timely and proper crop management, minimization of cost of production, safely harvesting of the crop, and post-harvest management. The project is providing appropriate advice to the farmers in basis the 3 points that I have mentioned here. And let me tell you, the crop save statistics due to the extreme weather forecast, and it has surveyed in our own agriculture block in Batiaghata sub-district under Khulna district in our country. In that situation, we have calculated in this way that we could save $36,682 just for one event and in one block. And please note that we have 14,091 agriculture block in our country. And if I say this kind of extreme weather condition happens once in a month, then I have to calculate 12 times in a year. So the calculation would be $6,202 million per year. That is huge amounts that we are saving crops in our country through agromet services. How agromet advisories are produced? Real-time data and information are received from Bangladesh Meteorological Department and one of the Water Development Board. And we have technical committee consists of representative of Bangladesh Meteorological Department and the Bangladesh Water Development Board. And we have the experts and consultants. We have 4 research institutes representatives like Bangladesh Agriculture Research Institute, Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, Bangladesh Jute Research Institute, Bangladesh Sugarcane Research Institute. They are not only our technical committee members, but also they are our development partner, and they are providing the crop simulation model on different crops. And we have representative from Department of Fisheries and Department of Livestock, because we provide the agromet services for crop, livestock, and fisheries. A complete agricultural solution we are trying to provide for the farmers. And in these committees sit and review relevant international websites, and based on the information received from BMD and the Water Development Board, they provide the they produce the advisories as per location specific, demand base to the farmers. And the question is, then it is very essential to deliver those messages, disseminate the message to the farmers. So how we do? The process is, if I say the Department of Agriculture Extension is a big department in our country. It has about 26,000 human resources working throughout the country, and it has the national level official to the village level official, those are involved in serving to the farmers. So these are the main source of dissemination, the messages that we produce. And another is we have agriculture information services through which we disseminate. We have BAMIS portal and BAMIS application, mobile application. Through that way we disseminate our agriculture advisory, and we produce national level bulletin once in a week. We produce district level for all districts twice in a week, and for a special bulletin we produce as per the natural or extreme weather happens prior to extreme weather and post extreme weather conditions. And we send SMS to the target farmers. We provide IVR or voice messages or voice calls to the farmers and the DA officials. We provide farmers training. We do some sort of farmers group approach, because we have established farmers group throughout the country, and lead farmers, we provide the information, and then the lead farmers convey the message to the farmers, to the fellow farmers. And we have established kiosk. It's a smart device combination of Android and the Windows application. So it's a very smart device. It has been established throughout the country in each sub-districts. So through kiosk, we are providing the information to the farmers and the DO officials. We have established union weather display board through which we can share the advisory, and we prepare and distribute the leaflet, booklet, brochure, posters, and different types of IC materials, and through which farmers come to know the urgency. And in emergency situation, localized based, we provide the miking, that means audio system, loudspeaker we use to announce the special messages that need to be followed by the farmers. And mass media, frequently we utilize the radio, TV, newspapers, and some sort of discussion, talk show, advertisement, documentary, different types of messages we provide through our mass media. So along with that, for the high officials, literate people, we provide the email. We have the Facebook group for the national level and the union level Facebook group. We have the YouTube channel through which different techniques and messages we provide. And we organize training for the farmers, our assistant agriculture officer who are responsible at the village level, advisory services, and the other Department of Agriculture Extension officials. We provide the physical training with training materials and some sort of field visits. We provide that kind of training. And we organize national level, regional level, district level, and sub-district level workshop through which we try to aware the respective persons, local leaders, and the persons, electronic and print media people, and involved with this agriculture sector. So that is very influential activity to award the farmers and other officials. And information, education, and communication materials that we produce and distribute throughout the country. So if I say scope of works and recommendations under this webinar or workshop today, some tools related to climate smart agriculture and climate change adaptation may be co-developed with Department of Agriculture Extension, and huge number of technical persons involved from national level to village or union level may be mobilized for research, trial, or demonstration in our country, and capacity building of DAE personnel, arrangement of DAE official training via visit, seminar, workshop, and relevant institutes in abroad for exchanges, ideas, and views, as well as learning. And today, in addition to that, I would like to say that the pandemic situation of the COVID is overcome. Now we are people going abroad and exchanging ideas and views. And a few days ago, I visited IMD in India and NASA in USA and some other countries we visited, and we are sharing our ideas and views. So may I request the organizers to organize such kind of workshop, seminar in physical mood, because it's much more effective rather than the virtual workshop. So that would be fine for us, and we could discuss thoroughly each and everything, and we can obviously find out a good result from that kind of workshop or seminars. So thanks for patient sharing, and once again I really highly appreciate to the organizers and give me the opportunity to be here to say something to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. MD Shah Kamal Khan, and thank you so much. Your presentation is very excellent, and the calculation you made is very impressive, because sometimes we do a lots of work, but the actual outcome, if we don't know, then actual happiness will not come out from the project as a project coordinator or as a project director. But when it's come a data, this million of the farmers save this much of money or something like that. So it's very impressive, and then we feel like satisfaction. We did this work, and because of that, this much of farmers are benefited. So thank you so much. And you rightly pointed out, we are planning for the physical South Asia meeting or international conference for end of this year or maybe starting of the next year. And it's very much important, because if all countries have expertise, like the Simone says, we have a form of the GAXA and their knowledge and actions group. They have a different group, or the countries are participated. But how we come together and how we can share and how we overcome these challenges. So, and of course, as a Bangladesh is doing excellent in this area, and especially we have, I think, as per my knowledge, we have some opportunity of the seaweeds also in the Bangladesh maybe. So fishermen, they are involved in the seaweeds. Mm-hmm. So I think when we meet physically or by virtually, we can discuss that also. If what expertise Bangladesh have for the seaweeds. So thank you so much, Dr. MD Shah Kamal Khan, for your time and your busy schedule. You took aapne apna time samay nikala and you make presentations. Thank you so much on behalf of NCPSB, sir. Thank you so much, and we need your guidance, sir, in the future also.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Gontia, Vice Chancellor, Junagadh Agriculture University, for his guidance and address. So, Gontia, sir.
Namaste, Ben.
Namaste, sir.
I'm Dr. Narendra Gontia from Junagadh Agriculture University, Junagadh. Friends, in this year only, the IPCC report is presenting providing very intensifying impacts of the climate change and futuristic risk. There are so many things are discussed on that, but I concentrated, as I told, on about the rainfall and water management, particularly. As we in the Gujarat, the survey which is conducted by the Gujarat, and it is found that even if increase of 1 or 1.5 degrees Celsius of temperature will reduce 15 to 25% of yield of different varieties. And in our own research at the Junagadh Agriculture University, we have also found that with just a 1 or 1.5 degree temperature change, the evapotranspiration demand of different crops may increase by 5%. And simultaneously, if suppose in Rabi season, suppose we are growing the wheat crop in the Saurashtra region. In Saurashtra itself, the additional water requirement may go to 10 million cubic meter for that, for the compensating the water demand of the wheat crop only. And the earlier we were talking about that the impacts will come, now they have started. Even in Gujarat, if we see that the areas which we are getting high rainfalls, the rainfall is reducing, and where the rainfall was less, in those areas, the rainfall is increasing. And other way also, maybe the rainfall is increasing, But the trend is like that. We are getting the rainfall with minimum rainy days. The number of rainy days are reducing, though the rainfall is increasing. So very heavy rains come in very short duration time, high intensity rains comes. So very difficult to arrest such rains or to go for water harvesting, because immediately a very thunderstorms comes and a lot of runoff is there. It is difficult to arrest that, and it is making havocs also. So the crop is also getting affected. And other side, we are not getting the benefits of that rainfall. If the same rainfall is distributed one, we could have a better advantage of such rainfalls. So this needs to go for, suppose I appreciate the program. We were advocating this, that already in Gujarat we have made a lot of structures on the nalas, that is gully plugs and check dams and other small dams and all those. We have checked that it's okay, the water is checked when it reaches to the nalas and gullies or rivers, but it needs to be checked in farms also. So for that purpose, the farm ponds are the better options. In our 75 years of independence, we are saying we should make, the Prime Minister has advised, and he is suggesting that go for 75 ponds in each villages. That is a good idea, and we are working on that direction, because ponds are sustainable solutions in comparison to check dams and nalas, because their life is less. And as the excess water comes from so much of heavy rains, immediately it goes out of the check dams, and storage is very less for a small time only. But if it is the farm ponds available in each village, in each pond, then there itself the water is arrested where it is. The discharge can be reduced for other places, and in rivers, less discharge will come, so havocs can also be reduced. The temperature variation has already proved this year. If we see in Saurashtra, due to the temperature variations, the mango crop, which is a very important horticultural crop, is this area. We are saying Kesar mango. We have the geographical indications for that. The production of the mango is reduced by 50% this year due to this change of climate change only, or temperature variations, we can say. The temperature variations has affected at least 3 horticultural crops in the region. One is mango, another is the jamun, what we call blackberry, and third is the lemon. Lemon production is also drastically reduced because the fruit setting has been not done due to the variations, very high variations in the temperature occurred this year. Even in winter season, the high temperature has gone, and even the production of wheat crop is also affected. Not only in Saurashtra region, in whole country, the production of wheat crop is also affected. So this all shows that the impacts are now alarming at our door, and we have to take care of that. And a study conducted in our university, it has also showed that the annual one-day maximum rainfall in almost all the districts of Saurashtra, we have 10 districts on Saurashtra, the annual one-day maximum rainfall is increased. So, as I told that though the rainfall is increased, but it is in a short duration of time, so number of rainy days is reduced. It is creating not the meteorological drought, because we are defining droughts in some terms of the meteorology only. So it is not a meteorological drought, because the government says if 60% rains occurs, means this is not a drought. So it may be a 60% rains are there, but they are occurring in such a way, it is creating the agricultural drought. The water is not available when it is required for the crops. So that is, we can say agricultural droughts are there, though there is no meteorological drought is there. And similarly, the adaptation strategy, suppose we have to go, there's already so many people have told that we have to go for now we need the varieties which is temperature tolerant varieties. And we cannot wait for the traditional breeding to do this work. We need this marker assisted breeding. We have to go for that, for developing such varieties which can be tolerant to our heat resistance varieties, whether in any crop or in horticulture also. For fruit setting also, which is a big problem, we have to think over that how these problems can be tackled in future. Because the horticultural farmers, if they suffer, they have only single crop in the whole year. If a mango is suffered, they suffer the whole season of their crop. So that is a big problem for the farmers, and we have to tackle that with properly. That how we have to go ahead in the future. Similarly, if the evapotranspiration is increasing, then we have to go for such strategies. Just we are saying the mulching. In natural farming also nowadays, natural farming is quite advocated by so many people. There also we are saying you have to go for mulching with naturally available or the residues, crop residue available in the farm itself. So if the crop residue is available in the farm and we can utilize for the mulching, it is well and good. Otherwise also we have to go for the plastic mulching. So we can be able to reduce the evaporation part of the evapotranspiration. The total evapotranspiration, which is going to increase by 5 to 10% in coming 5 to 10 years. Out of that, if we want still to manage with available water, we have to reduce the evaporation part of the field. So still we are able to reduce the evapotranspiration of the crops. That strategy is to be needed. And I think in natural farming, they are advocating for this also. We should go for another type of crops also, particularly the horticultural crops and row growing crops. It is easy to use the crop residue for mulching, and it is highly needed nowadays. Similarly, the innovative clusters-based community irrigation projects for micro irrigation coverage should be encouraged. We know very well the micro irrigation system or drip is giving very good results. We are able to save 30 to 40% water with 20 to 30% increase in productivity. Now, if these systems is used by the farmers, the major problems comes because the small farmers, repair and maintenance is a major problem. If we go on cluster based or in a community based irrigation system, then it is a responsibility of certain people who are well trained in repair maintenance, and they will be repair, because such technology or such system needs regular repair and maintenance. And as the farmer is not able to do it, so that's why they are adopting for 1 year or 2 years, then they don't go further in this system. They start again the surface irrigation. So the need is that we should go for community based or on a cluster based, where somebody can be there who is be the mechanic for that and who can do the repair maintenance of such drip irrigation systems. Only MIS is not enough. Using micro irrigation is not enough nowadays. When we go for the community based systems, we need the control systems also. Nowadays, it is very difficult to manage with labor everything. So we need the artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence based control system to manage such irrigation system. So only when the water is required by the crop, in that time only, and for that much quantity the water is supplied, and that also automatically through the sensors it is gauged and supplied through the control systems. So that will save the labor also, and that will save the water also, which is becoming precise in the coming future. Now, in the 25% deficit water productivity, we have seen that 1.2 times normal practices, the same production can be achieved. What I meant to say means if the irrigation water requirement is certain crop is fixed, or we have already advised to the farmers, if the farmer goes for 75% supply of the water only, 25% deficit use, so the productivity, water productivity will increase 1.2 times. Though the production may be at par with the previous production. So this all types of techniques are required to be adopted for going for climate resilient agriculture also, and whatsoever is the water available with us, with that water, if we want to manage the things of the future. Similarly, the use of harvesting techniques. Till now, we were using the harvesting techniques where we were harvesting the water and storing it on the surfaces only. So whether it is a farm pond or it is a nala plug or it is a dam or something like where its surface is used for the harvesting the water or the discharge from a certain area. Now the thing, we have to go for the groundwater recharge also, because surface availability, area available is very less, and every farmer wants that he should utilize his whole area for the agricultural purposes or for some other purpose. The area is reducing. So we cannot allow more area under surface harvesting of water technique, because spreading area or submergence area is increasing and a lot of problems are there. In big dam, it's a big problem, but even in small dams and small water pond or the farm ponds also, some areas to be utilized for that purpose. So in such cases, let us go for the groundwater recharge. A very big aquifers are available with us, and there are several techniques where we can go. Nowadays, even these techniques are available to even deeper aquifers we can recharge. In rainy season, suppose this year only, in this last 10 days, a lot of rain occurred in Saurashtra region, and it looks like everything is filled up. All the check dams and nala, gully plug is filled up. Even the wells, open wells are filled up to the top, and it looks like aquifers are filled up. No, it is only the top aquifers which are filled. That's why we are having such situations on ground or in field. The deeper aquifers are all still needs recharge. And the experiments conducted in the Junagadh Agriculture University, we have the live demonstration. Still we are able to continue to recharge the such bores which are in deeper aquifers with 10 to 15 liters per second of intake capacity of those aquifers. Still they are continuing to recharging. This shows that we have to utilize the groundwater also, where the groundwater aquifers, they should be recharged properly. So the whatsoever the excess water coming in a small chain, which is nowadays in high rainfalls, that we can use at a surface storage as well as the groundwater recharge. So more water will be available when it will be required during the Rabi season or the summer season of the crops. These are some points, and in nutshell, we have to focus on integrated approach, combining interventions on soil health management, water harvesting, critical stage-wise irrigation, more crop per drop through MIS, irrigation water quality management, automated irrigation and fertigation using artificial intelligence, and smart sensors and mulching. The water quality will also can be improved if we go for groundwater recharge, and even if a good pressure is created, the whatsoever in the coastal areas we are facing the seawater intrusion in the our aquifers or in the tube wells and wells, that also can be stopped, and salinity ingress can also be reduced. That we have seen in the Saurashtra coastal belt in last few years. So with these words, I thank the organizers that they have given me the time for talking on or discussing on this platform. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sir, for excellent presentation. And from all the state universities, every presentations, every interactions we learned. Yeah, culture talks. Yeah, we all, particularly myself, I am talking drought. We know, of course, we don't say like that. It's drought for all. Not drought for because we have a water. It's not a drought, but agriculture crop do not have a water, so maybe it's a good. Of course, we learn lots of technical things from the universities. So thank you so much, Dr. Gontia sir, Vice Chancellor, Junagadh University, for his detailed presentation and mentions. Of course, this last 10 years, we have a lot of rain in the state of Gujarat, particularly Gujarat state of India. But it's not enough. Sometimes we say it's a flooded, but sometimes it's not enough. We require to recharge it and restore it. So, and
online karta tha.
Seriously, we thankful to you. I request all the experts and participants, please, mic apno band rakhsho, please. Now, I request Dr. Govind Hariharan, because he requested he have to leave early, and Dr. Govind Hariharan always wake up early for NCCSD. Sometimes I feel very bad. Oh, I just write the email to Dr. Govind Hariharan and he says yes. He never said no. And he is ready to help to NCCSD in agriculture and its allied sector. So I request Dr. Govind Hariharan, because Dr. Richard is not able to make a share their views. So we have that time slots. So I requested and urged Professor Govind Hariharan for his guidance.
Thank you, Dr. Shillette. Thank you, Nisha. Can you please mute?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not going to take too much time. I've been listening to all the experts. I'm more of a learner than an expert on this topic. I specialize in health, wealth, and technology. And I've always had the great pleasure of attending and listening to the experts and learning from them at the NCCSD events. So I thank you very much for always inviting me. As I mentioned, my primary area of focus is the economics of health, wealth, and technology. And one of the most interesting things as we read the latest assessment report in the context of climate change is the emphasis that is really given to health and wealth, which wasn't to the same degree in previous reports of the reports on climate change. So you now have essentially two specific chapters that look completely on topics of how do you address the impact of climate change on health and how do you address the impact of climate change on wealth. So one thing that is very clear from reading those reports and reading the background literature that has gone into it is that it is very, very uneven when it comes to the potential impact of climate change on health. We've already seen a lot of it, and it is likely to get even worse as the situation progresses unless we prepare for it. So the impact is very uneven by every estimate that I have seen. Is uneven across regions, and unfortunately, India and South Asia tend to stand out, as well as countries like China, stand out quite a bit in this context and in the extent of the impact of climate change on health. So this comes through not just issues pertaining to water salinity, but also in the transmission of diseases, also in the context of major cardiovascular, diabetes, and other predominant health conditions. It also varies. So within India itself, it seems to, by their estimates and by all of the simulation models, it seems to vary quite a bit depending on the region within India you're speaking about. So certain regions, such as the coastal areas, tend to, of course, have a pretty sizable impact, but as well as cities such as Kolkata, cities such as Delhi seem to have, by those estimates, the potential for very, very high risk of high impact on health conditions of the population. The second thing is that it tends to be across these regions be a lot more focused in particular industries. Different industries are impacted differently. Some benefit, some suffer. And agriculture, especially when you look at fisheries and animal husbandry, all of them tend to get impacted a lot more by these estimates of the impact of climate change on health of workers in specific industries. The last point in the context of health is the really, really significant difference in terms of impact across socioeconomic strata as well as age. The reason why this is very important to keep in mind is that in every crisis situation, it is not just climate change, in any crisis, the worst impacts are always concentrated in the lower rungs of socioeconomic status. In the context of climate change, in the context of farming and farmers, especially when you speak of older farmers, this impact is likely to be really, really significant, and therefore more buffers need to be created as well as more resilient systems need to be built in so that small farmers who are older do not get affected in terms of their health. So health systems need to take those into account, everything from rural clinics to telehealth mechanisms. So it's very clear from these studies, and it has never been more prominent than in the latest report, of the potential impact of climate change on health. And therefore, it behooves us to look for approaches to reduce its impact. Assuming that the worst happens, what are the things that we can do to resolve these situations? The second component is wealth, that receives a lot of attention. And again, the similarity between health and wealth is quite unique in the sense that in both contexts, the impact of shocks on the lower socioeconomic strata is really, really extreme. It's miles apart when you compare to the upper economic strata. So a small shock to their income because of poor harvest forces many farmers to commit suicide, really gets people into major debt so that they can no longer afford the type of health care that their children need or they themselves need. So the impact of health, impact of climate change, shocks due to climate change on wealth is really significant and pronounced when you're speaking about lower socioeconomic strata. And all of their models are very, very consistent in showing that, and showing that to be highly significant. There are also interrelations between health and wealth. They flow in both directions, the causality. Better health enables you to work longer hours, be more productive at work, generate more income. Poorer health does the opposite. But better income situations also enables you to afford better health care and take much better care of your health. So the causality runs in both ways. And when you throw in shocks from climate into this mix, it just makes the whole thing very, very circular and complex. So the complex challenge of balancing climate change goals with economic growth really requires smart solutions. Many of the solutions have been offered already today, and I'm looking forward to learning more in the future from those speakers as well. The one area, and this was addressed by a couple of the speakers, and especially in the context of weather, but information systems, ICT technologies can play a really big role. when you speak about any disaster, in recent years, the effect of a crisis and a disaster has been to have people look for information. That information they search in social media, etc. So problems pertaining to the credibility of that information begin to start taking center stage. Technology-enabled solutions provide much better weather forecasts, much better abilities to form groups that one can use to build resilience, provide much better support systems for older farmers in terms of communicating with others, not being isolated, in terms of receiving much better telehealth capabilities. In all of these, technology, especially information-centered technology, can provide a key tool, can be developed as a key tool in addressing the impact of climate shocks on health and wealth. The reason why that is important is also because of the fact that that is one area in which India really dominates. When you speak of fintech, for instance, while there are many payment processing mechanisms, etc., the one thing that everyone speaks of is what has been developed in India coming out of the Aadhaar system. So in so many ways, and we also, in providing ICT services to the world, we have become the central player, most innovative country, and therefore it behooves us to capitalize on our competitive advantage in looking for solutions for not just India, but for the world in addressing climate change and its impact on health and wealth. Some of the key questions in this complex problem is balancing things. On the one hand, you have commitments and promises in the context of climate change goals. Each country is signing on to an agreement. Others may abide by it, may not abide by it, but it has a global impact. What are the impacts of this relative to the costs of realizing those climate change? Is the investment worth it? And studies have consistently shown that this is a really necessary and worthwhile investment to make. The minister and others have spoken of carbon credits. And Professor Asher had a really interesting suggestion. And I think it is really worth considering, because you're speaking of creating not just a global carbon credit market, but a domestic national carbon credit market. And the reason why I think it is an important approach to consider is because of the fact that every time there is a crisis, including the present day crisis in Ukraine, every time there is a crisis, there is a movement and a tendency towards becoming more inward-looking, becoming more nationalistic. And as that happens, global cooperation breaks apart. So if you're participating only in a world market, those markets are likely to really suffer from these shocks to extreme degrees that poorer segments of the population will face dramatic consequences from. That can be ameliorated, and carbon credits can also be utilized as a mechanism for ensuring more equity in the context of health and wealth as a result of climate change shocks. Information technology, as I mentioned, can provide a key building block for building resilience in India, and India, through its competitive advantage in that field, can really enable the rest of the world to benefit from it. So an innovative climate tech, similar to what we do in fintech, what we do in health tech, every other tech, what we really need to develop a focus in is climate tech, to provide information technology-based solutions for the rest of the world, but more importantly, India, to resolve and to address climate change challenges. Lastly, uncertainty in every aspect of this climate change, health, wealth nexus is very, very prevalent in every element. And that is one of the ways in which some of the leading scientists, the weather experts, for instance, the meteorological sciences, they have made tremendous advances in terms of being able to predict short term what is likely to be the monsoon and how do you address it. Looking farther into the future has always been a challenge. We can predict something that we know is going to happen in the next 3 days. But we cannot predict what is likely to happen 3 years from now, 4 years from now, because the farther out you go, the larger is the role played by uncertainty. And the reason why uncertainty, to take that into account, is important is, again, if you're thinking of health and wealth impacts, if you want to reduce the level of suicides, if you want to reduce the level of bankruptcies amongst farmers, then it behooves us to look for ways to plan for worst case scenarios as much as we plan for the more optimistic scenarios and take that into our planning context. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for patiently listening to my few comments.
Thank you so much, Dr. Govind Hariharan. You pointed out many important points. We always think about the technology, agriculture, finance, carbon credit. But when we saw your male health, wealth, and technology needs the older farmers, like when you mentioned in the email at the time of the subject, when we are discussing at that time, our just mind like clicking, oh, health is the first, then wealth, and then technology. So it is, you mentioned a very important point, and I think we have to take it from your presentations, and further also we have to discuss this point in the detail in other deliberation also. And your last slide is very impressive. Complex problem, complex question. That heading, even I particularly see after many years, because when we are children, then always our teacher, they give us a heading. This is a complex problem. This is a complex question. You have to solve it. So like as a teacher, as a professor, you just say us, this is a complex problem and complex question. We as a community, we as an expert, we as a farmer, whatever but we have to solve it and how we can do it. So thank you so much, Dr. Govind Hariharan, for your excellent mind-sparking presentation. And on behalf of NCCST, we always get your support, and we're really thankful to you for your all support, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And now I request Dr. Nandini, CEO of Atapi Seva Foundation, for her presentation and her address. After that, I request Dr. Loisy Bright-Morton from the Ohio, and then Tobias Grass. Loisy and Tobias Grass presentation, address and guidance are already in the formal timetable, in the formal program. But we have Judith, Astor, and Rudail Oshima, MAAF Japan. So we have other 3 experts and persons from the other country. So after Dr. Nandini presentations, I request Dr. Loisy from Ohio, then Tobias, and then if Judith, Astor, and Oshima from Japan would like to share their views, I request them after this all 3 presentations. So now I request Dr. Nandini for her presentation. Yes, Nandini, ma'am. Namaste.
Namaste, Nisha ji. Namaste to all the seniors. Am I audible?
Yes,
my screen is visible, right?
Yes, Nandini ma'am.
All right. So it has been a very learning session for us. We are Atapi Seva Foundation. We are a learning organization. Hello? Can I? Yeah, hello. Nisha Ben, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are a learning organization, and this session has been extremely linked to the work that we are doing. And so this is basically what Atapi has been doing on sustainable and climate resilient agriculture practices. Just a brief, we are Atapi, it means, the Pali word means, diligent hard work. These are our mission, and we work on 6 sustainable development goals. And our major interventions are in livelihood enhancement, economic development, health and well-being, holistic child development, water and environment. We are a 10-year-old organization, and we have learned from our promoter groups, from VRTIs, our consortiums of straw voluntary organization, and also NCCST, which has really guided Atapi into climate resilient agriculture while we were working on sustainable agriculture practices in around 35 villages in Jambusar block of Bharuch district, mostly a coastal area. Greater push to climate resilient agriculture interventions was provided with the help of NCCST, where we worked with around 100 farmers on climate resilient agriculture. You may have heard, everybody would have heard these words, I think, from Krida and from all my esteemed co-panelists who have been speaking. We know what are the impacts. We have quite a bit of understanding of climate change impacts that are there, particularly for developing country like India with a very high population, which is also very closely related to nutritional, the health and livelihood security of the poor. As Professor Hariharan just also mentioned, that a very great impact on climate change is going to be happening on health, wealth, and health and wealth is going to be affected, particularly of the most marginalized and the ages. So that is what Atapi has been working on with the most marginalized farmers. And everybody is aware how climate change affects agriculture: irregular or insufficient rain, increase in salinity, impermeability. This already has been mentioned by our co-panelists. I'll quickly go on to what has Atapi's goal been in with support from various of our partner organizations is to for our smart and sustainable agriculture. Atapi has set the goal of ending hunger, achieving food security, and improve nutrition through sustainable climate resilient agriculture for increasing farm income. So it is, Atapi has always been working with grassroots community-based groups, whether they are self-help groups or they are farmer learning groups, and all of them directly or indirectly have been very actively engaged in finding solutions to impact of climate change, because this dialogue has been happening since quite some time, and Atapi, having learned, is trying to also activate its various community-based groups to respond to the climate change. And one of its largest programs on agriculture has learned from various expert organizations and implemented sustainable agriculture and climate resilient agriculture. So this is how we relate the sustainable agriculture to climate resilient agriculture practices and to ensuring nutritional security. Coming to, we have a twin track approach. While we work with the around 110 most marginalized farmer groups, we also have created a farmer producer organizations. It's a twin track approach. While we with the help of the farmer producer organization, we enhance the availability of the products for climate resilient agriculture. Through the FPO, we are also providing technology usage in agriculture, as well as promoting the organic and natural farming practices, providing to the most marginalized farmer the tools and the knowledge base to be able to mitigate or adapt its climate agriculture practices to the climate change that has been observing. So in the last few years, these are the various activities, various interventions that have been done with support from our consortium and NCCSD. So many farmers have been, we've done crop demonstrations, then vermi-wash demonstrations, usually using different irrigation methods, intercropping, and actually affecting near about 1,000 most marginalized farmers. Lots of trainings and field day trainings and soil and water sample testing has been done. And what I will just, this is a Bhavi vermi-wash model, which was taken up in a project that was supported last year, where we did with about 100 farmers, and also plantation afforestation activities that we did for soil promotion and generation of additional income. Now, just a few findings of what we have done till now. We did see about 30% increase in crop production through intercropping system. Using the biofertilizers, the input cost reduction. So what we were talking about, both climate effect of climate change on health as well as wealth. So we feel that with the sustainable agriculture practice and the various smart climate agriculture technologies, use of them, there have been increases in crop production, also a reduction in the input cost, increasing the water storage and soil by using various irrigation methods, reduction in the TDS, use of trellis system in the vegetables was found to be beneficial in saving of irrigation water. While these are certain things which are expected out of these practices, but actually seeing them on the ground really gives a great ray of hope that with these climate resilient agricultural practices also we are able to improve the productivity as well as the incomes of the most marginalized farmers, which is very, very important, as Professor Hariharan just mentioned. Laser irrigation system also help farmers in saving of water, and different variety as cotton is grown here also increased, suitable harvest increased by 25 to 40%. So these experiments and these interventions have had on the whole with these 1,000 farmers these type of impacts. And if we go to certain success stories, so seeing these farmers actually increasing their increasing the income by 50% and actually following the sustainable agriculture practices, the great joy. And we have a ray of hope that if we continue and we keep providing support in this manner, I believe that we will be able to take this dream of having these type of resilient farmers, particularly the most marginalized farmers, will not just be a dream. And I think this is where we are headed to. Like leaving the cotton crop and adopting horticulture. So people have taken up, the most marginalized have understood, and they have also, with the help of our interventions and with the help of all the support that we've had from our partner agencies, these success stories we have been able to create, and I'm sure we will be able to create more such, like changing the crop pattern. This is using trellis system again, incomes were increased. As we can say, by crop rotation, more than 50% increase in income has been experienced. And with these positive stories, other farmers are also getting encouraged and utilizing these methods. Similarly, by using various active substances and adopting methods of retaining nutrients in the farm itself, 70% increase in income have also been reported. And these are real case studies of the farmers whom our team has so diligently followed up with, trained and conducted training. Our team of Sardar Bhai and Chandrika Ben have worked really hard with farmers to bringing the latest technology and to bring it to the farmers. Drip irrigation has also been shown. As you can see, the most marginalized farmers also average production revenue has been increased by to the extent of 40%. This is only in 1 year. We have, as a grassroots organization which is working with the farmer groups who are, as our experts have mentioned, are the most vulnerable to climate change, and their adaptation and mitigation is something that needs to be worked on. So having support from our partner agencies, I think we feel that we are going in the right direction. And also there are certain recommendations which has emerged from the experiences of the past few years of our action on the ground. We feel that there can be more government schemes for promoting agripreneurs, like collective action through the farmer producer organizations has also been tried out by us. But agripreneur development schemes, their accessibility can be improved a little. Then we believe greater information and greater availability of compost, warming compost, biofertilizer, and propagation media needs to be further given a stimulus. Agroforestry and social forestry through self-help groups is something, is an area which our team feels that could also help in mitigation of the climate change and the effect that it may have on agriculture. Biogas model, linking dairy cooperatives and giving them subsidy could also help in these programs. More women farmer-oriented scheme, and also taking cue from Professor Hariharan, I think use of technology to help the most marginalized farmers through agromet advisories. We have been given agromet advisories by our partner agencies as well as from the local agencies, but I believe converting it into and utilization of artificial intelligence into that so that it becomes very user-friendly to the most marginalized farmers is our humble submission. And as taking a cue again from Professor Hariharan, since we are working also on in the same communities with the same groups on health and nutrition, we are at the verge of strengthening the climate resilient agriculture and nutrition interface. We have the nutritional assessments. We've identified the nutritional problems which are there. We've developed something like 250 kitchen gardens, utilizing the similar technologies which are being promoted for climate resilient agriculture. And we wish to see a better food security in these villages, food nutrition security and financial security of small and marginal farmers. So in summary, as a small grassroots organization working in 35 villages, coastal villages of Gujarat, we feel that we have our feet on the ground, and we will be taking these things forward and the Sustainable Agriculture Program forward with support from all of you. And it has been a really great learning experience for us, and we'll be happy to share more such experiences in such forum. Thank you, Nisha Ben, and thank you, NCCST, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini Ben. It's excellent presentations, and we have lots of case studies. So I think we share these case studies and our presentation to the GACSA, because already Dr. Simon mentions it's like a learning process. So they have a knowledge group, action group. So I think we Atapi directly share with the GACSA also, and we can share our experience and expertise as a case study about whatever we are doing at the best level with the women farmers. We can directly send them. Thank you so much, Nandini Ben, for your presentation. Now I request Dr. Lois Wright Morton from the Ohio, USA.
May I share my screen?
Sure. Namaste. Dr. Lois?
Yes.
Namaste. Good morning.
Can you see it or not?
Yeah.
So can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
Excellent, great, okay. Good morning from North America and good afternoon to India.
Yes.
I have very much enjoyed the conversations that we've had this morning. Excellent conversations about farmers. I represent Solutions from the Land. And I'm a farmer from the United States, but you can see that I also am a retired professor from Iowa State University. Spent many years studying farmers and looking at why they made the decisions that they did. About 7 or 8 years ago, when I retired to become a farmer, discovered very quickly that it's a lot more complicated. And I think you've said it, that it's very complex. It's easy to ask the questions. It's easy to say, oh, here's some possible answers. But farmers really are on the front line of trying to find the solutions and figure it out. Solutions from the Land is a farmer-led NGO. It's very actively engaged in dialogues about the future of agriculture. Very concerned about integrated land management solutions. We are a lead organization in NASCA, which is a North America climate smart ag alliance that supports GACSA strongly. And we're excited to be part of that project. You see here, I won't take any time on that. I could take my full 10 minutes talking about my farm, but I'm a specialty crop, blueberries and red raspberries. But what I want to talk about today is farmers at the center of agriculture climate decisions. And it's been wonderful to hear about some of the agriculture that's happening in Bangladesh and in Southeast Asia, and many of the farmer groups and many of the efforts that are being made to engage farmers in finding ways to address climate change in a way that helps them. We sometimes, as farmers, we know this, but sometimes I think as policymakers, as academics, as people that live in urban environments who get their food from the grocery store, sometimes we forget that farmers are the beginning of the food system. And that's one of the big messages that I'd like to leave with you today, is that we have a distribution problem. We have a lot of issues that come with our food system, but we have to be paying attention to our farmers and be sure that they have the resources, the knowledge, and the technologies, the conversation that the prior speaker in terms of talking about India and the technologies that they have. And they really are able to level the playing field from a scale standpoint, so that farmers can make a living, not only producing food, but also producing ecosystem services that are so valuable to society. And it was referenced earlier, we have the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. At least 10 of them are very, very directly related to agriculture. If agriculture is not able to function in a way that is successful, many of those goals will be impossible to reach. Here is our vision statement. But what I want to talk briefly is our Solutions from the Land approach. As I say, we're farmer-led, and so we're looking for other farmer leaders in our communities and in our states, and actually nationally and internationally, as we've done some work on a global platforms to enable agricultural leaders, to equip them, to inspire and empower them, helping them to realize that they can make a difference, and to mobilize leaders to not just think about and talk about, but to actually do things. So we spend a lot of time thinking about what's the action that we might be able to do. What I want to share with you this morning are 7 of our guiding principles that we particularly think when we talk about a global platform and the IPCC, and we think about how can agriculture successfully support many of the findings, and to actually do and act on many of the things that we know about climate change and the things that we need to do. And the very first principle, and these 7 principles were developed with North American farmers, many months of dialogue and conversations about, what are the really important things that farmers might contribute to global policy to global research, education, and land use practices that farmers on the land. Because one of the big issues that we find here in the United States, and I think it probably is a worldwide problem, is that we have leading edge adopting farmers that are easily embrace change and are ready to act, but without mainstream agriculture coming along with us and understanding the kinds of things that are happening and what they might do so that they're not paralyzed, so that they actually can adapt. And many of them are adapting and thinking of new ways, and we need to be able to capture that. So the very first principle is that the priorities and solutions that we develop locally, nationally, and globally on the world stage need to be aligned with national policies and priorities. We know that we have each one of our countries, each one of our regions have cultural knowledge and experiences. We have different experiences with water. Some of us are in drought. Some of us have too much water and flood regularly. Many of us have both of those happening at the same time. So we need to be sure that when we develop priorities and solutions that they're aligned and that they're flexible enough so that we can embrace all of the diversity, both in the scale of agriculture and the kinds of activities that are happening. Secondly, farmers, ranchers, foresters, I might mention fishers need to be in this also. India is a fishing country, as many of us have coastal regions. Profitability must be a central component of any plan to transform agriculture systems. I know profitability often feels like it's a dirty word, that, we shouldn't be making money. If a farmer can't make a livelihood, he or she cannot stay in business and cannot produce food and cannot protect the environment in the way that they need to. And it's part of our livelihood. So we have to be able to, at the end of the day, the investments that we put into our farm and the labor costs and all of those kinds of costs, whether they're technology, in the long run, we have to be able to produce a set of crops that support our family. And we need to always keep that in mind. Third, that we are not just producing an efficient product, efficient agricultural item per unit of land. We're not making any new land. The amount of land that is available for agricultural production is very limited. But we also are producing and protecting water and ecosystem services. So both of those must happen together, and we need the resources and the knowledge to be able to co-produce those. Fourth, very much what you're doing today, uncommon collaborations are needed. We need multi-stakeholder models. We need government. We need academia. We need the private sector. We need NGOs. We need agriculture, food systems, business. All of us need to be focused on a whole set of identifying what the problem is. We'll all come up with different solutions, and many of those solutions, it's a broad basket, and we need to not say that there is one solution. There are many solutions as long as we're focused on being able to adapt and mitigate a changing climate. Point number 5, farmers, ranchers, and fishers and foresters, we are targets of policies and regulations. Everyone says, well, if we just make a policy, we would fix that. We would fix a whole lot of problems. But people, we need to ask farmers, what is it that you're doing? How might we solve the problem? It's not enough to have the technology. It's not enough to have the science. We have to put that together, and the farmer, the fisher, has their own experiences and their own knowledge. They're already adapting. They're already finding ways that work and finding ways that don't work. We have as many failures as we have successes, and so we're learning from them. And policy needs to learn from the farmers and the fishers and the foresters and the ranchers, and be permitted in a systematic way to provide significant input, both to the problem identification and to the solution design. And then they will own and be willing to actually change and put in place many of the recommendations that we know will be successful. 6 is that adaptation strategies require scale appropriateness. And we've had this theme all the way through our conversations today, that I'm a small landholder. I'm a small scale berry grower. I grow for local markets, but I have farmer colleagues that have many hectares and have very, very large scale. We need both of those in order to feed our populations. And so we need to have those technologies that we can, new breeds, new ways we're transforming our own system. We need to recognize that not every tool and every technology will be appropriate to every size farm or every size fishing operation. The last basic principle is that science-based practices and technologies in conjunction with farmers, foresters, ranchers, foresters, and experiential knowledge and indigenous innovation must come together. It's not enough, and we've had several of our speakers recognize that really nicely, that science-based practices are important. We need to keep finding and innovating, but let's not forget that the experience that farmers bring to this problem, to the set of problems of water, of heat, they're already experimenting. I don't wait for the information to come. I have a pest problem. I have to act today. If I'm moving into drought, I'm looking for information, but I have to do something about it today. And so we bring to policy and to our research a lot of experiential knowledge and innovation that when they're married together, we can actually have really climate smart practices in agriculture that I think can transform our systems. If we try to do it just on science, you need to do this and this is how you ought to do it, or if we just do it on, well, this is the way I've always done it, so we should just keep doing it. Both of those ways are insufficient. We need to put them together and learn from each other, and that will enable us, I think, to transform our systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Loitzy, for your excellent presentation. And I think your work is a similar work like us. So it's very much important how we as a country, India, USA, UK, Europe, we share our experience. And as you mentioned in your presentations, how the farmer, they start taking their own decision. This is a main important thing. And when the farmers, they start their own decision taking, then our objective is fulfilled. So I think your NGO's initiatives is the same like the other initiatives, and we really appreciate your efforts, and we really happy to work with you. And thank you so much on behalf of NCCSD, India, country, and the other partners for your presentation. And you took your time for these presentations. Of course, in the Ohio, it's early morning. Still.
Well, actually, this is blueberry harvest season for me. So I'm actually up at daylight. I've been sorting berries while I've been listening to you. So yes, I'm multitasking. So thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Loitzy, for your all efforts and time. And on behalf of NCCSD, please convey our regards to Erin also.
Well, he sends his apologies. He very much wanted to be here. He's represented us in in the Berlin meetings today, and he sends his regards. We really appreciate the partnership that you have given to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you and Irene. Give our regards, and we'll keep in touch with you for the further work. Thank you so much, Dr. Lazi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I request Tobias Grass for his address and guidance. Tobias Grass.
Thank you very much, Nisha, and thank you to the NCCSD for giving me the floor to participate in this distinguished dialogue. I'm representing today the farmers' constituency in the UNFCCC. I'm with the Danish Agriculture and Food Council, and we are part of the World Farmers Organization, that of course is an integral part of the farmers' constituency alongside other farming voices. It's been very interesting to listen to the previous speakers. What I took down from some of them is that we really need partnerships in order to overcome the challenges we're facing. Carbon credits is indeed a major opportunity, and there is a need to have Article 6 of the Paris Agreement implemented. It could unleash a lot of private sector capital for farmers, and this is what we need, is to power the climate transition, because climate action in agriculture does not come for cheap. We heard the cabinet minister speak about the strengthening of the food, water, and energy nexus, and that, of course, is very key. It's where the GAXA practices, the climate smart approaches play a very significant role, and it's also where we need to find the right structures to act so that the transition becomes participatory. We have seen examples of the opposite when rules, top-down approaches ask for dramatic changes over a too short period of time. Well, then we do get into trouble, and we are seeing right now some of these consequences for instance, in Sri Lanka, where at the last COP, some very ambitious policy was announced, which had some very unintended consequences. So that serves as one example of what not to do, and on the other hand, we need to reflect on how can we then move forward in a participatory manner. Now, in the farmers' constituency, we have for years been calling for more climate finance for agriculture. And therefore, we are very happy to see that there is a new initiative. It's called the FAST initiative from FAO and other actors. It's building up towards COP27 in Egypt. And this initiative calls for what we have been calling for, namely more climate finance for agriculture. We can see from the graphs now that we have received from the FAST initiative that the global agricultural share of climate finance has been declining in recent years. It's been stable around 25%. And this number, 25%, it simply does not match up with the challenges that we face, which we see the climate challenge, the climate impact of agriculture is somewhat nearer 31%. So those two numbers simply do not match up. We also looked into why this is the case. Of course, the sources of climate finance, they are manifold. But one of the leading actors and donors out there is the Green Climate Fund. And there, a few years back, there were some numbers from the FAO showing that about only 12% of the Green Climate Fund expenditure was allocated to agriculture and forestry. And this might have something to do with the fact that amongst the 100 or so accredited entities to the Green Climate Fund, one does not find accredited entities that spring from the, let's say, the origin of the farmer's constituency. These are mostly private banks, or they are government ministries, but not, they're not structures that come from let's say the farming and global cooperative community. Then there are a few exceptions. And we are happy that the FAO, for instance, is an accredited entity to the Green Climate Fund, IFAD as well. We also see some research structures such as the CGIAR network being accredited, but these are the exceptions, and we really do need more accredited entities to the Green Climate Fund that originate from the cooperative and farming constituency. We secured some political backing for more accredited entity, but we also thought it was time to act. So I'm also here today as counsel to what is called the Cooperative Partnership for Climate Smart Food and Forestry, which is a partnership between the farming and forestry organizations of Denmark, Finland, and the Netherlands, so the DAFC, MTK, and LTO, the Dutch Agri-Development Agency, Agritera, which is for years, for the past two decades, have been supporting cooperative development throughout the world. So this cooperative partnership came together because we believe that the cooperative as a structure can something which a limited company cannot, and which smallholder farmers and farmers, also big farmers, big scale, large scale farmers individually cannot, namely to organize a transition. Because the cooperative management, which is elected by the farmers, namely their owners, they have more legitimacy than a private company to also instruct farmers and guide farmers to change practices. And so this was an idea, one could say borderline ideology. Anyway, we believed it to be true, and we partnered with the FAO to explore whether this can be put into practice. So currently, we have partnered with the FAO to develop a proposal for the Green Climate Fund. And of course, developing a proposal for the Green Climate Fund requires such statements to be backed by facts. And I'm happy to share, I can't reveal too many details of what is in the pipeline, but I'm happy to share that what we have found so far is that indeed the cooperative does have something for it. And so we believe that what might be developing together with FAO and the cooperative partnership in Kenya might also be something that inspire climate action in agriculture in other countries, in other continents, namely to put more focus on cooperatives and see the cooperatives that sit in this strategic position above and below the farmer at the same time, to make that a real vector and actor for climate action. So going forward, this is where we are. We have the big figures that show that more climate finance is needed for agriculture and forestry. We have the experience that more partnerships are needed, and we have now the proposal that the globally cooperatives have been perhaps overlooked as actors for climate action. And that is something that in many countries, colleagues could look towards cooperatives, farmers could look towards cooperatives, perhaps also organize themselves in cooperatives and strengthen resilience, climate resilience, but also climate action. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tobias, for your excellent presentation. You are using the one word, cooperative.
Yes.
Our state have a mastery for that. Gujarat, yeah, because earlier I remember when we had a meeting with the Danone company in the Denmark. At that time, when we shared about the model of the cooperative, then sometimes it's not accepted by the people. But when today you mention about the word cooperative, then I feel very happy. This is the solution. This is the solutions. If you work in the manner of the cooperative, then farmer, they took a decision.
Exactly.
And that's why the success ratio and the progress is like 100%. There is a no, there is a no chance for the, it's not working or something like that. So it is a more chance to how they can do a progress. So we are happy to work with you if you need any support from us, particularly for this cooperative sector. And our state have a lots of experience, expertise, and as our executive chairman, Dr. Kirit Shalat, he was the principal secretary of agriculture. At that time, this cooperative movement was started, and he had a tremendous experience of this cooperative movement and how it's successful. So if you need any help, we are happy to do that. And as mentioned in the first initial inauguration, I already mentioned that whatever expertise one country have, they share with the other countries, and whatever expertise you have, we don't have. If you share with us, then of course we can overcome all the challenges.
Indeed. If I just may ask one thing, which to add to what we are currently developing for Kenya, it's also a technology transfer mechanism where indeed climate smart practices from farmers and cooperatives in these cooperative partnership countries would be shared. And so we are very happy to partner and to share our experience. We will be at the COP in Sharm el Sheikh and also participate in the GAXA network going forward.
Sure. So thank you so much for your presentations and your initiatives. You already mentioned about the cooperatives partnership of this Denmark and other countries. I think sometimes climate finance is very much important when you have to move forward. So as a farmer constituency, as an NGO, as a stakeholders, initially on the pilot basis, you need a physical, financial, and technical support. Then, after some experience, after some years, you have that expertise, and then you are a self-reliant. So this is the whole expertise or experience we have in the cooperative sector. That's why I am sharing with you just. So thank you so much for your presentation, and we are very keen to work with you, and we look forward for the partnership also. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
On behalf of NCCSD in India, we're really thankful to you for your time and for your efforts, Tobias. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we have Judith, we have Asthar, and Oshima from Japan. So first I request and urge to Real Oshima from Japan. If would like to share some views or experience. Rudiel Osima from Japan.
No, ma'am, she is not present.
Okay. Judith? Now I request to Dr. Shalat for his guidance. Sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Pranam, salute to all. Nisha, you have brought all together very many experts, distinguished persons, and this has become a very fruitful interaction. I see Dr. Timbadia also. I suggest that he may also speak after I speak. We had a very good address by Honorable Cabinet Minister for Agriculture, for Animal Husbandry, for Fisheries, Sri Purushottam Rupala, followed by a number of experts and distinguished people. And I am quite happy and delighted that we are all here for a common agenda. Now, the latest IPCC report is a future warning. Already we know that climate change has affected us, but its severity is now enhanced and faced by each and everyone across the world. We may not call pandemic an effect of climate change, but I believe it is also an effect of climate change, or for that matter, heat wave, which is now going through Europe and parts of USA. These are the things which will enhance. And what is a challenge? The main challenge that world is facing is food security, livelihood in the rural areas, and food for hungry million. Rest of the things we'll be able to manage. We'll be able to manage our urban sector. We'll be able to manage our infrastructure for the urban sector. But it is the villages which will have the severest difficulties that world has not seen. But we are capable to come out from this. And I can share that in India, we have gone through this in our early 50s and 60s. We had what we used to call famine, where there was no rainfall for 2 years. And farmers, after 2 years, used to again become resilient and start cultivating. And those 2 years were, having said that, as I mentioned, food security is threat to the world, not only because of the climate change, but also due to the war in Europe, due to also so many internal conflicts in very many countries. And become urbanites, and that also increases demand for food and reduces productivity and production because farming is living. So 3 key challenges which I see before the world community and as a major agenda and key agenda for COP27 is food security, food for the hungry millions, and food productivity. Both parties and non-party organizations in this dialogue need to flag this, prioritize this in their country and at international level. If agriculture is to be prioritized, farmer needs to be strengthened, funded. Technology which is available. We have technology in the India, in China, in USA, in Europe, in country like Israel, where we can manage all these things. And that need to be made available to farmers. Now, how do we go about it? These are the things which need to be discussed. Another thing to be realized is that agriculture, due to its photosynthesis process, is nature's tool for mitigation because it absorbs CO2 and stores in the soil, in the stem, in the fruit or seeds. It must be realized that due to growing urbanization, massive and rapid increase of transportation and manufacturing activities, GHG emissions are going to be unabated. Only expansion of agriculture on more lands, usable, arable wastelands, growing seaweeds in sea will solve the problems of CO2 absorption. And this will provide increased food availability, livelihood, and reduce CO2 from atmosphere and meet the challenge that we are talking about. UN organizations like Green Fund, CTC, and World Bank, like they must prioritize, they must earmark funds for agriculture and farmers and so much to take up countries which are not coming to them because very many countries do not have expertise to write a project proposal to Green Fund, CTC, and World Bank. They are not aware also. So it is the duty of UNFCCC and all of us together to identify these parts of the world, make available them project funds, prepare grants for them, also guide them how to administer them. COP 24/7 therefore need to come out with a clear agenda to support farmers, agriculture sectors, and action plan can be launched. Perhaps an exchange bank can be set up. It can be done by even GAXTA, FAO, or any one of the organization because the FAO has already set up a knowledge bank. This exchange bank should be of the knowledge, expertise, funds, and knowledge economy, which can be given to those who need it, whether they are NGOs of those countries. They need not come through the government to obtain this knowledge because it is available virtually. So very many countries, people are not able to obtain assistance because they have to go through their local governments, which have no time to apply to any of the world organizations. So it is important that we consider to set up an exchange bank for giving from those who have it to those who need it, and this should include finance. Second, if we are giving carbon credit to manufacturers, to the industrial organization, why not consider what Honorable Minister suggested, giving carbon credit to the farmers and provide them financial support. Third, recognize that there is a need to strengthen infrastructure projects related to agriculture, and this relates to reduce wastages. Wastages from farm land or farm point to the market and from market to the consumer. How we can reduce these wastages by an efficient infrastructure that itself will increase our food availability by 30 to 40%, and so will be increase in income of farmers. Very briefly, before I sum up, I must say that NCCST is working in collaboration with a strong group of consortium. We have 10 NGOs, and our priority is farmer, and we are working in 2,000 villages. We are working with the state government, state agriculture university, union government, and at international level with GAXA, with Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University, KSU, Atlanta, and similar organization, and even working with countries like Ghana for transfer of technology to the university teachers. So we once again thank you very much for participating and providing their very important inputs, which we can take forward to the UNFCCC. We hope to crystallize these ideas and submit it to the UNFCCC in advance, as they have opened only a forum today to share the written views. Thank you, all of you, once again for being with us, being part of this global initiative for prioritizing agriculture, for prioritizing farmers and farmers organization. We also welcome a joint initiative and collaborative exchange with all the members. We are willing to share our knowledge. We are willing to welcome you to be in Gujarat as FAMU scientists. 36 scientists from FAMU came to Gujarat, and train farmers and students. And they stayed here for 4 months and for 3 years. And that is how we developed a guidebook on how to build climate smart farmer and increase or double the income of farmers in area of climate change. With these words, I once again thank you all, and over to you, Nisha.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance and for your detailed each and every point for the policy. Now I request the Judith, because in the message box, he wrote the mail. So Judith, you are with us? Judith? Judith, you would like to share something?
Yes, ma'am. She is connected, but not his mic. His mic is off, and camera is also off.
Okay. So now I request Dr. Timbadia sir for his guidance. Dr. Timbadia sir?
Yes, he's on.
Thank you very much for giving the opportunity to share some introduction with all of you. First of all, I congratulate Salat sir. You coordinated, and I think good linkages are developed among us from abroad and Indian speakers. I got very much information from many speakers. I think Gotia sir had delivered, Dr. Pathak sir, Hariharan sir, and so many speakers from outreach also. Here, I am Dr. C.K. Timbadia, working as a Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Natural Farming and Organic University. So I want to give some introduction of this university. The mandate, the name itself indicate the working on natural farming. This is the first and unique university in Gujarat and India, and I think in global, working on natural farming. Here I heard many things about the global warming and so many reasons for that, and the damage to the society and more. And many people are working on that also. Here, chemical farming play a great role. I think some scientists estimated that 24% role for damaging the environment is a chemical farming. So that the natural farming will, I think, will play a big role to control this situation. And on that way, natural farming university is working. Here, I want to share some experience or some action plan for our university. Salat sir, we have decided to declare research farm on farmers field. As we know that in Gujarat, many good results are come out of natural farming on the farmers field, and many database is not there. So natural farming has taken a decision to conduct on 160 farmers field research for their result. And we will take a sampling of the soil and diversity and yield parameters, cost-benefit ratio, as well as the yield and its nutrition also. Here, I want to say that if we will promote natural farming or organic farming, the global warming situation will be somewhat controlled. And on that way, I request to all of you to help this university, and I also invite your expertise for promoting natural farming and organic farming in the state. Salat Saab, lastly, it is worth to speak because your guidance I got, and last moment, I do not want to speak more, but I thank you to Salat sir and Nisha madam and all speakers, those have explained very good information to this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Timbadia sir, and congratulations, many congratulations on behalf of all of us as a Vice Chancellor of Organic University, and we feel very happy when we heard. And of course, this is a unique university of our state and country. And of course, your effort is excellent, so maybe more and more success in the future. So now I request if Judith, you can able to unmute yourself. Otherwise, now we have a very limited time, and we summarize all the points, and I think we come on the end of the meeting. So Judith, you can able to unmute yourself. So on behalf of NCCSD, we thankful to our Cabinet Minister, Honorable Rupala Saab, Professor Mukul Ashar, Dr. Gopinath, Dr. A.R. Pathak, Simon from Gaksa, Imlinda Gaksa, Kamal Khan from the Dhaka, Dr. Gontia, Richard Kutai, Nandini, Dr. Lois, Tobias, Professor Govind Hariharan, Dr. Shalat Sir, Director Manage, Ali from Zambia, Divine, Mr. Divine from Global Alliance on Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network, Dr. Bala Subramaniam, Vice Chancellor, Organic University, Director Extension, Anand University and Navsari University also in the participated in this meeting. So we're thankful to them also. Judith, Rudail, and Esther. All the participants are in this meeting, especially thanks to the speakers and participants, Anil Kumar, Ashok Kumar, Chandarka, Dr. Narendra Gotia, Sikati Mbada Sir, Ritesh Borisana, Dr. P.T. Patel Sir, Kavya Shah, Lalit Patil, Malai Bhai, thank you so much, Meghna Parmar, Nandini Srivastav, Vivek Shende, and Yasraj Singh Jhala, Chandrika Ben, Sardar Bhai. Especially thanks to Ashwin Bhai, Goshalia Sahib, who always support us and encourage us for the in each and every interactions meeting. So on behalf of NCCSD, if I miss anyone name, so we really thankful to each and every person who are with us today, and thank you so much to NCCSD team who are doing an excellent job and make a good arrangement in this situation, because yesterday our net is not working properly, and still we have this fruitful and successful meeting. Thank you so much to our Executive Chairman, Dr. Shalat Sir, for his continuous guidance for this event. And end of this meeting, as I mentioned earlier, in the India, we always start our meeting with the prayer. And even in the India, because we are the farmer organizations, farmer constituency, NGOs, so we end our meeting with the song. So we all know it's an international event. So we have only one common and international song is "We shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday." Thank you so much for all the participants, all the experts, all the scientists, and all the KVK officers. Thank you so much. We're in touch with you, and we need your more and more guidance. Thank you so much.